Hello students, in the previous part we have talked about these major abiotic factors. So in this part today we will talk about the responses of organisms to the environment. So before going into details, let us first try to know some terms. The first one is regulate. This regulate means to maintain a constant internal condition. It can be in terms of this temperature or osmotic concentration. So regulate means to maintain constant internal condition. It can be temperature or osmotic concentration. And the next one is confirm. Confirm, it means to adjust. It means to adjust according to outside environment. Now there are some organisms which are not able to maintain constant internal condition, and then they just adjust. They just adjust according to the outside environment. So such a very process is called confirm. So now let us take the first abiotic factor, temperature. Taking this factor, let us try to know some other terms. Now there are some organisms which are able to maintain a constant internal body temperature in spite of the changes outside. So such organisms are called thermoregulators. And whereas there are so many organisms which are not able to maintain this constant internal condition. So such type of organisms are called thermoconformers. So by the word itself, we understand thermo means heat, regulators means those organisms which can maintain constant internal condition. And here thermo means, again we know that it's heat, conformers means to adjust. Those organisms which are not able to maintain a constant internal condition, and they just adjust to the outside condition. Now let us take another factor, osmotic concentration or osmolarity. Osmotic concentration or osmolarity means the water and ionic concentration in the body. So particularly for aquatic organisms like fishes. So there are some fishes which will be able to survive in any kind of habitat. It can be freshwater or marine water. So like those fishes which are able to survive in both the marine habitat or freshwater, such organisms will be called as osmoregulators. Now suppose this fish, if that very particular fish is not able to maintain a constant internal condition, and then suppose the concentration of a particular fish, so this is a fish, so its body concentration, a constant body concentration is 15%, but when this very fish lives in freshwater, suppose this fish is not able to maintain a constant internal condition, and then since it is not able to maintain a constant internal condition, what this fish will do, they will just adjust. They will just change their internal condition with the surroundings. Suppose we know that the freshwater ionic concentration is less than 5%. So this fish will change its internal condition to the according to the outside one. So this fish, for example, they will be called as osmoconformers. Osmoconformers. So I hope you're clear with these osmoregulators and osmoconformers. Why? Because this osmoregulator means those organisms, particularly aquatic organisms, which are able to maintain constant internal conditions are called osmoregulators, and those aquatic organisms which are not able to maintain their constant internal condition are called osmoconformers. So these are some of the important terms that we have to know. So now we will be going into details about these responses of organisms to the environment. So we will discuss that one by one. Now, as we know that the abiotic conditions or these environmental conditions of most of the habitats, of all the habitats, keeps on changing with time. So the organisms have to manage or cope up with the harsh or stressful conditions in order to survive and reproduce successfully. Over the millions of years, these organisms have evolved to keep their internal condition or internal environment constant in spite of the changes outside the body. This process is also called as homeostasis. Homeostasis simply means the ability to maintain constant internal condition in spite of the changes outside. Now, we are always talking about this constant internal condition. This constancy is very important. Why? Because it is beneficial for the organisms to function at the maximum efficiency. Since the climatic conditions of the habitat or environment keeps on changing and tends to upset the homeostasis of the organisms have to manage and then cope up, or like they try to do so many things in order to survive and then reproduce successfully. So let us take an analogy to understand this concept. Suppose there is a person, and then this person is able to perform his best at 25 degrees Celsius, and he wishes to maintain it. So when it is very hot in summer and like when it is very freezing cold in winter, this person will be able to achieve this very temperature by using heater in winter or air conditioner in summer. So like by using these two things, heater in winter and air conditioner in summer, this person will be able to maintain this constant internal temperature. So in this case, the internal condition or internal environment is achieved by, or homeostasis is achieved by artificial means and not by physiological means. So in the next topic we will be discussing about most of these physiological processes or mechanisms that organisms carry out in order to keep their body, internal body condition constant. Now we will discuss the various mechanisms one by one. Number one, first one is regulate. We already know what regulate means. Regulate means to maintain a constant internal condition. So these organisms, such as all birds, okay? All birds and mammals, and a few lower invertebrates and vertebrates, they are able to thermoregulate. They are capable of thermoregulation, and the evolutionary biologists believe that the mammals are the most successful regulators. Why? Because they have the ability to maintain a constant internal condition. And these mechanisms, the mechanisms used by these mammals are similar to the ones that we humans use. Now, we humans we are capable of maintaining a constant internal condition or a constant internal body temperature of about 37 degrees Celsius. Humans, we maintain a constant internal temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. So, in summer, when it is very hot, we just sweat it out profusely. So this sweat, when it gets evaporated, it absorbs some amount of heat from the surrounding. So since some amount of heat is absorbed from the surrounding, it gives the cooling effect and then brings our body temperature down. And when it is very cold outside, and then the temperature outside is more than or less than our body temperature, what we do is we shiver, which is a kind of exercise, and then like raises our body temperature. So that is how we humans, we regulate or we maintain a constant internal body temperature. But there are so many organisms which are not able to maintain or which are not able to regulate their constant internal body condition. So in the next, we will discuss confirm. Now confirm, we already know what confirm is. It is to adjust according to the outside surrounding. Majority of the animals and nearly all the plants, they are not capable of regulating. They are not capable of maintaining a constant internal condition. Their body temperature or osmotic concentrations change according to the outside surroundings. Now, why have these conformers not evolved to become regulators? Since we already know the benefits of maintaining a constant internal condition. When an organism is able to maintain a constant internal condition, then that very organism is able to function with maximum efficiency. So to maintain a constant internal condition is very beneficial, but these conformers, they have not evolved to become regulators. Why? It is because this thermoregulation, it is very expensive energetically for some animals like shrews, small animals like so for these small animals like shrews and hummingbirds, to regulate constant body temperature is very expensive for them. Since this heat loss and heat gain is a function of surface area, and then their body surface area is much more than their volume, they tend to lose body heat quickly when it is cold outside. And then they have to spend a lot of energy to generate body heat, which is very expensive for them. So this is the main reason why some conformers, some organisms or conformers have not evolved to become regulators. Of course, some organisms have evolved to become regulators, but only within a certain range of temperature. And beyond that temperature, they simply conform, they simply adjust with the outside surrounding. Now, when these stressful or these harsh conditions last only for a short period of time, the organisms have another two alternative ways by which they can survive. That is, migrate. Migrate means it is a temporary to and from movement. Organisms, they move away from their original habitat and then move away to some other places which is more suitable or hospitable. And then they stay there for some time and then return to their original habitat when the favorable conditions come. So this is how organisms, they try to escape the harsh conditions of their original habitat. Next one is many migratory birds from Siberia and other extremely cold northern regions. They come to this Keoladul National Park in Bharatpur in Rajasthan, stay there for some time, and then they return to their original habitat when the favorable season comes back. So now next one is suspend. As the name signifies, suspend means to stop all their activities, to inactivate all their activities during the unfavorable conditions. So first one is under suspend. The first one is dormancy. Dormancy is simply an inactive state, often seen in bacteria, fungi, and lower plants. They develop a tip wall spores in order to escape from the harsh conditions. Now, the second one under suspend is hibernation. Hibernation is nothing but it is simply this winter sleep. This hibernation is often seen in earthworms and bears. So they try to escape the severe cold, and then they go for winter sleep and come out only during the summer seasons. So this is called hibernation. And the next one is estivation. Estivation is now again summer sleep. Some organisms, in order to escape from the excessive heat and then desiccation or this loss of moisture, they undergo this estivation in order to survive during the favorable conditions only. And the last one under this suspend is diapause. Organisms enter this diapause where they suspend all their developmental processes, and then they will resume all their activities only during the favorable conditions. So these are some of the ways or mechanisms that organisms do in response to abiotic factors to survive and then reproduce successfully. Next topic is adaptation. The environmental conditions of all the habitats keeps on changing. So the organisms have done some modifications. They have some modifications which enables them to live or reproduce successfully even during the harsh conditions. And then this is actually adaptations. Any these modifications which help the organisms to survive successfully is an adaptations. So an adaptation is of many types. Let us discuss all types of adaptations one by one. The first one is let us discuss about a particular organism, that is kangaroo rat. This kangaroo rat found in North American deserts. So found in North American desert. So we all know that in desert there's a scarcity of water. But this organism, it is able to maintain all their, or it is able to meet all the requirements of water for its body by simply depending on some metabolic reactions, particularly during fat oxidation. This is also a metabolic reaction only which occurs in their body. During fat oxidation, what happens is that they produce water as byproduct. So during fat oxidation, they produce water which is a byproduct. So during each and every this metabolic reaction, during this fat oxidation, they produce water. So they can use this water to meet their requirements. So this is one mechanism by which the organisms can meet their water requirements. And they also have a special kidney or highly efficient or special kidney by which they can concentrate their urine. So they can concentrate their urine. Concentrated urine means in which the amount of water is very less. So since they are giving out concentrated urine, there will be a minimal loss of water. So in this way, these organisms have modified their these physiological processes, and then they are able to survive in a very harsh conditions. So this is also an adaptation. Now next one is, number 2 is desert plants. Desert plants. These plants, they have a thick cuticle on the surface of the leaf, and their stomata are sunken. So since stomata are sunken and then they have a thick cuticle, there's a less chance of transpiration. So when the transpiration is less, there will be a minimal loss of water. They have a special photosynthetic pathway called CAM pathway, preservation acid metabolism pathway, where the plants have the ability to keep their stomata closed during the daytime. So since they are keeping their stomata closed during the daytime, now again transpiration will be very less. So in that way they can reserve some amount of water for the plants. Now the next one is mammals in cold regions. Mammals in cold regions, they have shorter limbs and ears. Shorter limbs and ears. So they have these shorter limbs and ears. Since the more their body surface will be, the more will be the heat loss. So in order to prevent the maximum heat loss, they have shorter limbs and ears. This is also called Allen's rule. Allen's rule. And aquatic organisms, they have a thick layer of fat below the skin. They have a thick layer of fat below the skin, which acts as an insulator in order to prevent the heat loss. So the next one, again we will discuss some more adaptations. Next one is people living in high altitude places. Now next one is people living in high altitude places. Now if you happen to visit this Manali and Leh, you will start experiencing some symptoms like nausea, fatigue and heart palpitations. This is because the atmospheric pressure in these places are very low, and then the number of these oxygen molecules is also very few. But people living there have adjusted, or they have adapted to this very condition. So in order to compensate the low oxygen availability, what the people living there have is they have higher RBC count. They have high red blood cells which carry oxygen, and then they also have a high breathing rate. So this is how people living in high altitude places have adapted to this low atmospheric pressure and less oxygen availability. Now the last one is deserts. These organisms, they show behavioral responses. Like they lack these mechanisms like those of mammals. Mammals, they can regulate their body temperature constant, but then these lizards, they don't have that very mechanism. So what they do is they will bask, or they will expose themselves in the sun. They bask or expose in the sun. So when it is cold outside, when it is cold, they will just bask or expose in the sun in order to maintain an optimal body temperature. And when the temperature goes beyond their optimal temperature, what they do is they go back to the shady place in order to cool down. So that is how different organisms have adapted, and then they are able to survive and then reproduce successfully. I hope you all understood. Thank you.